month. So yeah, it's been really cool. So for those of you guys are new to my stream, we're working on I'm calling her Olive, and basically she's a character that I kind of started a while ago on my own stream, and we're kind of detailing her out, kind of doing the fun stuff live, I guess. So we're just blocking out all the wood pieces, and yeah, we're just gonna kind of sculpt at it, you know. And while I'm sculpting, feel free to ask plentiful questions. So we did a retopology on her with a ZRemesher. So we have subdivision levels now, and it came out pretty good. So it's definitely something I'll keep for a while. So it allows me to sculpt a little bit more uniformly. So. Hey Ollie, how's it going, man? Hopefully after I'm dead. I think we're a ways off from AI. AI is kind of an interesting subject, I guess, because true AI would then, they would just be like us, right? I mean, they would have to have complete abstract thought, and it'd be random. And at that point, I guess we're not really any different than something that is fully artificially intelligent, I guess. Yeah, she'll be for print. Definitely for print. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if something is to become truly, you know, I think the word artificial is kind of a weird word to put in front of intelligent, but it's kind of what we have for now. But if something were to become truly AI, I don't think it could then be self-aware that it is AI, if that makes sense. Because then you're dealing with like some serious cognitive dissonance. Like you would not be able to function properly if like your whole worldview shattered to find out that like you're just a machine or you're not real, and I don't know. Well, this Friday's starting off interesting. Anyways. I am the machine. Hey, Dougie. How's it going, man? Good. Good, good, good. Very good. Just trying to clean up these lip corners a little bit. Well, thanks for using a fancy word. In scissors. I don't know what an incisor is. Her teeth, yeah. Yeah, maybe, huh? Yeah, teeth are just kind of in there. This side of the face looks kind of weird, got messed up. Switching shaders is always so jarring, sometimes in a good way. The teeth, these teeth. I don't know. I think I kind of had them, but they're just basically sculpted out, just like a Dynamesh. I did it with symmetry on, and then usually just like an orb crack for the gaps and the gums. No, because I usually Dynamesh at like, you know, ridiculously high poly counts, so usually it's not a problem. Hey Blans, how's it going? It hasn't changed my workflow yet. At least not when I'm doing more sculptural stuff. But when I do the printing stuff, like preparing it all for printing, it's definitely changed that element because just using the real-time Boolean. So that's probably like the biggest effect that the update has on me. Yeah, you just Dynamesh at really high resolutions. I don't think Dynamesh was ever really like intended to work that way with like super high poly counts, but if you have the RAM for it, then why not, I guess. But even if you lose details, you could just project it back, so it's not really an issue. Just use reproject all. How do you rename a custom subpalette? Oh, I don't know. It's a good question. I'm sure there's someone in here that does know. There you go. Easy, easy, huh? Yeah, so we're just doing tree stuff. Just laying in a lot of custom strokes of the clay buildup. I've done a little bit, but not a whole lot. But one thing that helped me a lot is just searching for like a lot of image searches on how dolls are made. So articulating dolls, and there's a lot of forums that are out there that are dedicated to people making those, and so I'm assuming you want to like design it in ZBrush and then 3D print it. So I think essentially just copying the style of joints, and then if you have access to a 3D printer, it's just a lot of trial and error until like you get exactly the right tolerances for your scale that you're working at. But once you kind of get through that part, then you can pretty much use the same joints, all the like reuse the same thing all over again, just on everything you do. Yeah, it's not like super helpful tip. Basically, just telling you to telling you where to look, I guess, is the key. So I find, yeah, just looking at what like toy makers are doing, and a lot of like posable action figures. Even if you buy one and like take it apart, that's the best way to learn, is just kind of seeing what they do. And you can just basically sculpt and model your own. I know when I was searching, I found like a lot of like PDFs on the different joints that they use, and they all have different names too. What do you mean by that? Simple to do? To do what? The articulating toys, or? Yeah, this part is definitely, it's simple in a way. It's kind of therapeutic, I think, sculpting wood. Because you can kind of just, for better or worse, make stuff up as you go, and try out different patterns and bulges and flat spots. Becomes kind of fun, actually. You just kind of work your way around the model. So the challenge is actually like not over detailing one spot too far until you get everything else up to the same amount of detail. There's probably a good term for it, but what you can end up doing is adding a certain style of detail to an area, and then by the time you get to the other end of the model, in this case it would just be like the wood, you want to make sure you kind of carry over the same like stroke patterns and brushes if you're using like a certain brush all the time. This way that it looks consistent. So if you're doing like a log, well, you know that if you're late, you're not allowed to watch, man. I'm just kidding. Heads are hard, man. You know, realistic heads are really hard. Stylized heads are hard. They all take a kind of a different amount of patience, I guess. Oh, really? Yeah. 3D printing classes are, I mean, they're really cool. I'm actually teaching one right now over at Mold3D for this summer. It's an online class, though. But yeah, it's even so, it's like, it's very seasonal, I think. Sometimes a lot of people want to take it, and kind of like it comes and goes, I guess. I think the cool thing about 3D printing is like everyone wants to kind of do something different with the technology. So it's kind of finding like a really cool place in the hands of all the artists that use it. It's like toys, action figures, tabletop games, jewelry. I mean, it's just like never ends. So, yeah, man, I appreciate you coming by. And, yeah, I'll answer any questions that I can, you know. So a cool trick to get, like, layers of wood on top of each other is, like, you have a big flat area like this, and I want like wood on top of it. So taking something with like clay buildup and just kind of like scribbling out like a line, and then that's kind of like your defined ridge, and then you can like fill in this area above it, fill in this area here, and then taking like H polish and like packing that down on top. And then I find like using like the move tool to kind of create like little spikes or like indentations. It's breaking up that silhouette a little bit. Try to avoid things that look overly round so it doesn't look too gummy. So that's like a new layer of wood, and then let's polish this back. And then I like to take the clay buildup again, go over the edge. Just the edge. And then edge polish again. And then it gives you this kind of like really cool effect. And then using like a orb crack, something very harsh, you can draw into it, defining like different ridges. Yeah. Form 2 is like a really nice DSLR. You know, it fits right into that level of income where like if you can afford like a super nice camera, you're probably going to be able to afford a Form 2. I don't know. People are weird. They complain about the price of the Form 2. And like, I feel like they've never taken up photography as a hobby because that's like infinitely more expensive for something that doesn't produce nearly as much. Like you could do cool stuff with like a pretty good level camera, but you can't do anything without a 3D printer. Yeah. As someone who's worked with them for a really long time, I don't foresee a price drop happening on the Form 2 like anytime soon, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's no small chunk of change, but I don't know. It's definitely one of those must-have items for me. Fortunately, I got it when I was in a more financial position, better financial position to get one than I am now. So that's good news. Because I don't think I would actually be able to buy one right now if I didn't have one. So definitely, you know, it's all about timing, I guess. All right, let's not get distracted. Got to work our way up to the branches. So I feel like maybe this side will be like dead wood. So it's like wood that's dying off. So it's going to have a lot of like streaks and stuff. And a lot of like termite damage and woodpeckers, all that kind of stuff. All right, so here's the quick made up story, right? So like this tree's about to die, and it's like the only way it can survive is to eat a human. So it found this young girl to sacrifice herself to become part of this new olive tree. So the olive tree is now regrowing from the left. It's like maybe I'll have one leaf left, and this will be the dead side of the dead wood over here where the tree almost died off. And so now the olive tree will live on another 1,000 years, which is actually very possible for an olive tree. Olive trees live forever and under ridiculous climate circumstances. Olive oil. No, I did not name her that. But now that you said it, NLTMW. I know there's a lot of stuff on YouTube, but if you want to get your models into Simplified 3D, all you need to do is use Decimation Master. So once you're done sculpting, you use Decimation Master, which is in the Z scripts, Z plugin, and it'll reduce the poly count from potentially like millions to something pretty reasonable. And then you just hit export, and then you export out the OBJ. That's like the quick and dirty way to get it out. You can also use like the STL exporter, which is also in the Z plugin menu. Yeah, dude, trees are cool because it's a lot of it's a lot of like organic like shapes and movement, and then all of a sudden it's just like this really hard plane, and so it really benefits from those polish brushes, like big time. So one thing I like to do when I'm modeling in general is like with just sculpting, you can really define what areas are like the top and what areas are like the underlying like wood, I guess you would say. Like, you know, just by adding a lot of like kind of wiggly sculpted shit in here, you can really like chew this out, and it's like really now apparent that that's like the inside of the wood where it's all roughed out, and then right on top of it, right next to it, you know, taking H polish, you can really plane out like these areas, and using like orb crack, you can, there's not really enough polygons right now to like do edge definitions, but you can kind of like add some cool scrapey stuff to kind of make that transition even more apparent of like what happened. Tell a little bit of a story. So that kind of detail will come a little later though. Now thinner pieces, you could print like 30 point, I think like 0.2 millimeter walls, something like that, 0.2 or 0.3 with the form 2, like without any problem. So unless she's going to be really small, like none of this stuff is going to be potentially an issue. Yeah, using pure ref. Yeah, I was thinking like the this branch here, or like some of these branches are kind of like going into her skin, and I don't know, like taking over, and then they're kind of like protruding out because like maybe the hair follicles have like holes in it, right? Like it goes in through your skin, and then so like your maybe the tree root is like following that path and was like, hey, I'm gonna pop out here. I don't know. That's what happened. I'm sticking to it. It's kind of a cool effect. Trypophobia. Why you gotta make me Google this, man? Trypophobia. Alright, don't look at my screen. Yeah, don't Google that, boys and girls. I got a pretty strong stomach, if you will, so. I'll take one for the team, you know. I'll do it and I'll get back to you guys, right? Yeah, but what he said, don't do it. By the way, I hope you guys like my cup for today's stream. It's an octopus on a handmade cup serving me delicious coffee. You know what I love about sculpting? Yeah, cuptopus. That's pretty funny. I like that. I love sculpting wood because like you can zoom into an area and just, I don't know, like just come up with like the most insane shapes. And I don't know, to me they look really cool. I get like really into like making even something as boring as like this long piece here, getting like it, making it look like it's twisting. You know, why is it twisting? Who knows? But it is twisting. It was twisting that way now. I don't know. It's kind of like this weird infinite detail thing where, you know, you can just keep zooming in and you just keep finding like more and more interesting shapes that you could pull out of the initial forms that you laid down. I think with doing wood in general, it's really important to get like underlying shapes that are really interesting. Yeah, I really like doing hair. Hair is like really freaking frustrating, but I like doing hair, cloth, and wood. Yeah. Yeah. Shoot, I can't. I think I'm gonna say I think it's Matt Thorpe that gave me that idea, but I could be wrong, or it might have been Brendan. He was another streamer here. I think it was Brendan actually. He said put a branch through her ears. So I did. So shout out to Brendan for that suggestion. Wood doesn't give a shit, man. It's gonna grow through whatever it wants. That's what I like about it. That's like on a whole different time scale. Wood is like the ultimate honey badger. Yeah, I'm gonna do a couple leaves. Leaves are gonna be on this branch over here. Probably just gonna be a couple. So just taking your clay buildup, go along these edges. Kind of add some like nice breakup. Don't have enough polygons right now to do like a lot of the streaky kind of like flow of the lines, but it's kind of rough it in. Well, I think there's a term that I use. Well, I don't use it, but I've heard it, and I sort of follow it. It's having like a good sculpture is about having balance of like negative space and I'm gonna say, for a better word, noise. So like what can really make or break a sculpture to look good is having areas of rest and areas of lots of activity. So kind of like a simple way to go about it is if you zoom out and you see like a certain zone, like very noisy, like a lot of crazy details, the next area right next to that you're working on, make it something smooth. Go opposite. You know, make that the area that is like, I mean, it could still have like little scratches and details like this, but from a distance, you want it to read as like a soft area next to a like a high frequency area, and so that's kind of the rule I follow with the trees. And same thing with cloth and hair too. So areas of rest and areas of density is good. So, and that's kind of like your generic tip for I think it's actually true across many types of sculpture, not just wood, but I think while doing wood or any wood, cloth, and hair really benefit from just kind of A/B, like crazy detail, not a lot of detail, crazy detail, not a lot of detail. So yeah, exactly. Like story arcs, right? Also, like alternating between things that are sharp versus curved and soft. So if everything is sharp, then it's gonna feel like intimidating. It's gonna feel dangerous. So for her, like I have a few sharp pieces of wood that I like kind of place in here. And then like a lot of it should be like more soft because she's soft. And while she's basically getting eaten alive by a tree, you want it to feel, I didn't want the tree to feel like it's like dangerous in a sense. I want it to feel more like natural and almost like subtle, I guess. I don't know. So also, there's a term called like echoing shapes. So, yeah, yeah, exactly. She almost, I kind of want her to like want it to happen. I guess that's kind of the emotion that I wanted to convey. So like someone pointed out last stream that these squirrels here look like they could be hair buns. And so like that's kind of like an intentional thing where I want it to, these roots almost like imitate what would be there like naturally. So it's kind of a fun thing to do. And same thing with this piece on top. I kind of want it to look like it's like a piece of her hair, you know, like kind of in a bun or something. Peter, it actually means a lot that you say something like that because I never really considered myself a designer, to be honest. I've been in like a production sculpting environment for like 10 years or more, like sculpting in film and game. And like I'd never really considered myself a designer, always just more of an extension of like the director or the supervisors or whoever else is telling me what to make. So I think that like one of my personal goals is to become and work towards the idea that that I could one day be a designer, I guess. And I don't really want to be a designer for other people, not in that regard, just more of like myself, where that I could create things that are interesting, that other people enjoy, I enjoy, and they're not based off of like necessarily a concept, but they're more of like an idea. So that's like a thing that I've been working towards. And like if you would have saw like my last stream when I first started streaming on Pixelogic, you know, I did like a likeness study / bust of Jin Urso. And to me, that's not really like a designer thing. That's just kind of a challenge to copy you know, a person's likeness and reproduce something. So in the next segment of my streaming with Pixelogic, I really wanted to like go back to something that I've been struggling with and want to work on more, and that's just designing with intention and sculpting with intention, I should say, not designing. So anyways, guys, yeah, on my stream, you're gonna see more. It's gonna be pretty random. I'm not always gonna do the same type of work. You know, I'm very much into like a lot of different styles and designs and elements. So sometimes I'll do likenesses. Sometimes I'll do things that are I consider like more fine art, I guess. Yeah. So I think they're gonna be a series, and I don't think there's only gonna be ladies, but ever since I did that one piece, that's kind of like my tipping point into wanting to do more like abstract sculptural stuff rather than just like a person that's just like a person, you know? So, because I like doing people a lot. That's also like one of my favorite things to do. So I was hoping to like combine those two ideas of me liking to sculpt people and then merging that with I don't know, something more abstract and weird. Going for the weird award right now. So definitely not the weirdest thing I've ever seen, but still. But yeah, she's definitely going to be something I print out. Probably like 7 or 8 inches tall. Because ever since I made that piece, I was like, I want to do something else like that. That was really cool. Yeah. I guess the term weird is very subjective too. It's kind of weird for me, to be honest, in that it's not something that I normally do. Using clay buildup like to take away matter is very satisfying for some reason. The way it cuts in is really cool. It allows you to really like break up silhouettes pretty easily. So here's like a good example of like that smooth next to the busy, like all down here is really kind of chaotic and a lot of shapes converging and moving around all over the place. And this piece of wood up here is like smooth, you know where it's going. And I'll have like a few cool like details. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Thanks, man. Welcome to the stream. So using the like a knife tool, or like I use orb crack, if you draw like these lines and then you use inflate and with a alt, you get this like kind of really interesting, like it pushes it in, but it also like expands those spots, so you get these like really cool like openings that you can then kind of like pimp out a little more with your sculpting brush. Helps sometimes when you have a little bit higher resolution, but you get like these little holes that I think this is like good stuff for creatures too. Like you want like skin kind of like wrapping and expanding or pushing away from certain areas. So you can get some neat effects with that little brush thing. I guess like with anything, just don't overuse it. What's up, Wicked Dimension? How's it going, man? That's better. Felt like that other piece is a little confusing. Nice, man. Well, I'm home. I'm at work right now. And I'm also chilling. So we could chill together, huh? Any tips for likeness head sculpts? Lots of alignments. So lining, not overlaying your character like on top of a photograph, because you're gonna have a lot of issues with perspective. But doing alignments, so if you put your character like facing the screen, I like to do screenshots. So if you take your character and make it face the screen, and then take a front view of the person that you're trying to make alignment, screen grab the ZBrush model, bring it into Photoshop, and then draw lines across like different landmarks. Like so landmark is like the top of the lips, the bottom of the nose, the corners of the eyes, things like that. And then draw them all the way over, and then move your ZBrush model around so that your top, like your chin and the skull, are like in the right area. And you can see pretty quickly like your proportions being off. Because once you get the proportions of the person that you're trying to do pretty close, I really feel like that's the hardest part. I mean, like humans are all kind of the same proportion, but it's like, it's the subtleties that really make it look like one person versus the next. So I don't know. So that's my tip, I guess, is drawing alignment guides, left and right and up and down. We're at the clapping phase of the song. Oh, dude, I know. I have a terrible personal filter too, so that's why when I do my own stream over at Poly Sculpture, follow if you're not following. When I do my own stream, it's not recorded. So it can be a little bit more exciting, if you will. I don't know. But I don't know. I'm just here to have a good time, make some cool art, and hang out with you guys. So I hope that you guys benefit from this stream as much as I do, actually, because I forgot. One of you guys said it, that making art is a lonely business. So that kind of actually hit me pretty hard, because I was like, yeah, that's really true. And so just the fact that I can kind of do my art unobstructed, but then still have people to relate to and talk to and bounce ideas off and have fun conversations is a kind of a special thing, I think, that that like never really existed before. So I don't know. Oh, Wicked. That's because you're not on my my 3 p.m. Drinking and sculpting stream that I'd like to do on my own stream. So where it gets way more vulgar and funny for some, I guess. I don't know. But I tend to do my best sculpting when I'm drinking a little bit of beer, wine. Keep it classy, you know. No, this is I was dynameshing pretty much, but right now I'm doing it has sub D levels. Oh yeah. Yeah, sometimes I let a few slip here and there. And I wonder. I haven't had a talking to yet, so. But I'm pretty sure the views expressed on my stream, even though I'm under the Pixelogic umbrella, are not the views of said company. So I guess I got that going for me. So yeah, I haven't been streaming on my personal stream for like a week. It's just because I'm at the tail end of an extremely tongue-tied, extremely large renovation on my home here, and it's like almost done. And so like every minute that I'm not doing this with you guys, I'm kind of fixing the house and finishing it up. So it's kind of like once that's finished, then life will be back to normal and I'll be streaming all the time again. So it's just a temporary thing. I'm not streaming regularly on my polysculpture stream, but I still want to like make sure I have content for and time to carved out to do at least Fridays. With you guys, so I know. Don't get me wrong, I want to stream more. I want to stream more. So those of you who do actually follow me on my own personal stream, I apologize for not streaming. Don't follow me yet, please. So maybe when I come back and start streaming more regularly, I'll just have to bribe you guys all back with a 3D print or something. 3D print giveaway. Streaming's a dirty game. I gotta play dirty, right? To get those viewers. See? That's all I got to do. Free 3D prints for everyone who follows me on my stream. Just kidding. Or am I? So you'll never know unless you do it. There you go. Maybe that'd just be a rumor. Yeah, if I actually did that, then yeah. If I actually did that, I wouldn't have a house or a computer to stream from because I would be broke. All right, so that piece of wood is pretty well blocked in. It's called Pure Ref, P-U-R-E-R-E-F, and there's a lot of images in here. And you get to zoom in and zoom out. Dude, I freaking love this program. And there's a picture of some dude's kid that's on the internet for some reason. Printing a model, if you have a form too, I mean, like, very general estimates are like a 5-inch model costs like $10, $15 in material. A 12-inch, because it's really by mass, it's not really by height. Like hollowing out can save you, depending on the design, save you lots of material, thus reducing the mass of the model. So yeah, really it's about the mass and the amount of material you use. And so yeah, so like a 5-inch model is, you know, 10, 20 bucks, depending on how wide it is too. A 12-inch model, 12-inch tall, I should say, can be upwards of like $60 in material. You know, like super rough estimate of a price, but those are kind of like really good numbers that you can say, all right, I kind of get where you're going. And so when you start realizing how in perspective cheap that is to print out a design compared to what like it would cost in a service bureau, or even just paying like third-party printing companies to do it, it makes a lot of sense to get your own printer if you know you're going to be doing it a lot. uh, you know, the tech is there. They have cement printers, so I don't see why not. I would imagine Japan would be a first to probably try to do something like that. That makes sense. And that would be freaking awesome. Like full on life scale Godzilla. Godzilla. Yeah. I think the issue with 3D printing is like it still has like this stigma to it. Like people 3D print stuff like just a 3D print and not because it's like the most practical thing to do with like your time and money. And so I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like it's definitely found like a special place in my workflow. And so some people use like Keyshot and Marmoset and all these programs that they use to represent their final sculpture and art piece. And for me, I want my final piece to be represented in real life. So that's where like the 3D printing to me becomes less novel and more of like a tool, a very specific tool for things that I want to do. Instead of like printing out dick butts and stuff like that. I don't know. Strategically, I'm trying my best to use 3D printing as a tool to further create art with. So, because the weird thing about 3D printers is that they were never really designed to do that. In a sense, they were designed to be prototyping machines. Yeah. I'm not really going to get into it on Pixelogic stream, but so I'm not really commenting on the chat, but you know. Definitely entertaining. Oh, sticks. So many sticks. Oh, man. No, don't get me wrong. I have a lot to say on the subject. I'll just leave it like, you know, I'm not of the believers group either. So, and, but that's not really relevant for good old ZBrush time. Because that's what we're here for, is good ZBrush time. But on my own stream, that's where we can go off the charts on random topics like that. Yeah, I know. I'm trying, man. Like, you have no idea, like, the level of destruction I did to this house. There was one point where the front of the house did not have a wall. Like, you could literally walk in from the street, in through the living room, and into the kitchen. Like, T-pose. Almost knocked over my camera. Core Gazer, just doing designing as I go, man. I mean, I'm working off of like inspiration of an olive tree and just a couple of ideas, some that I've been kind of having in my head a little bit. So nothing super specific per se. So it's just kind of freeform sculpting using reference as guides to staying within things. What's up, Kyle? Kyle's here to lay that smack down. Everyone be quiet. Just kidding. Ah, mushrooms. That's an interesting idea. I gotta actually do some research if I guess mushrooms would grow on the tree if it was dead wood. And I'm just like loosely talking out of my ass about that because I think that's how it happens. So there's an area over here that's like basically old wood. So yeah, I haven't gotten to the stage of like adding like other elements yet, I guess. So right now it's purely wood and skin, I guess. So definitely something I'll think about. I'm a big fan of mushrooms in general. when I went hiking through Alaska, like just the variety of mushrooms that you see growing in the rainforest is like ridiculous. So I took like a lot of cool macro photos of them. So definitely, actually, yeah, you know what? I take that back. Mushrooms don't grow on just dead wood. They just grow in the shade. So they grow anywhere they can, really. Now that I remember and kind of think about it more. I think there's certain edible mushrooms that are grown specifically on dead wood, but that doesn't have to be the case. But that said, because it's an olive tree, and olives are native to more arid climates, and arid being very dry, it'd be very unlikely that mushrooms would be growing on top of this particular wood. But I do like mushrooms. They have some of like the coolest shapes ever, so. Ooh, new messages. Yeah, American. I live in California. So the houses here, if you own a box, i.e. a piece of wood, and that piece of wood has a covering on the top, your house is probably worth $1 million. That's just like a good rule of thumb. And if that piece of wood has any amount of space between the piece of wood next to it, it might be worth even $2 million. But I can't speak for the rest of the country. I just know that's California real estate for you. Now, the weird thing with like California houses that I've noticed is that they're old. I mean, this house was built in the 70s that I live in. And the crazy thing to me is that like a lot of the times when you go to buy a house, this is probably true everywhere, but it's just people don't update their homes. So like you go buy a house and you spend like, you know, $250,000, $500,000, more than $1 million. It doesn't really matter. It depends on the area you're in. And it hasn't been updated since like the 70s. And you're just like, what? Like, when I moved in here, it still had a an oven that was from 1968 that doesn't even fit like a baking sheet. And the people who live here before me, they're a younger couple, and you just think to yourself, like, how did they survive with that oven? Granted, not everyone's like a cook, but still, it's kind of weird. Yeah. Wow, guys, it's almost 2 p.m. So my stream is definitely coming to an end here in a minute. So I guess I'll start doing a bunch of talking. So yeah, first of all, I just want to thank you guys for coming to my stream. Like I said, thanks for keeping me company while I go through this madness of sculpting wood. Appreciate you guys coming in, commenting, and throwing out ideas and giving me suggestions and stuff. So I'll definitely be back next Friday to continue sculpting and maybe even try to finish her up. If you guys want to do some sculptures yourself, yep, got the cup to puss. If you guys want to sculpt yourself, there's a free trial of ZBrush on the bottom link there, and you know, have fun, try it. And yeah, lastly, if you guys want to see more of my personal art, you can always follow me on my Twitch stream that I never use but will use soon at Polysculpture, and often post my 3D prints and art to my Instagram account. So you guys can always follow me at Polysculpture on Instagram if you're into that type of thing. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming, and I will go build a house so that way I can stream more. So, and next stream we'll add leaves. We'll do some leaves, so that will be fun. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Everyone have an awesome weekend. Remember, get outside, observe, and then go inside and sculpt it. And yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, I'll try to keep all my hands and fingers and toes. I actually do most of my construction with flip-flops on, which is very dangerous, I think.